Hello everybody and welcome into the NOMA Gen 6 Series live at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank you all so much for coming out. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network, and hey, it's good to be back. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas as we gear up for the last race of 2023 here on Ghost Racing Network, and it comes in what has probably been one of my favorite series, and we are only 1 week in. So with that, let's get right into your starting grid here for the night. Kenneth Redinger takes the pole. He puts down a 30.473, absolutely smoking. Justin Parham, his teammate, will start on his outside in second. Back in third is Chase Greer, Rookie of the Year, back in the NOMA Truck Series last season. Grant Turner rolls off fourth. John O'Lynch and Ryan Gomes going to be making up row number 3. It's Matthew Fritz back in 7th. Jay Stinson to his outside in 8th. DJ Maddish back in 9th. And Clay Cantrell making his first start of the season here tonight. He is rounding out your top 10. Moving on back to row number 6, it's going to be Zach Stevens alongside with Sean Wilder. Not too big of a field here tonight, but we keep going with Bradley King starting in 13th and Richard Hurst, broadcaster for the Super Speedway Series, rounding out our field of 14 drivers here tonight. Taking a look at your race info here in just a moment as we get everything all set up. A little different than what we saw last week at Daytona. A little bit more laps here tonight. It's the FLATWOODS 165, though, so less miles. Again, in the NOMA Gen 6 Series, you see the cars different. We'll talk more about those again in just a minute. But everybody going to have 5 sets of tires, 1 faster pair if you need it. Fixed setups as always, and 3 green-white checkers. The halfway point in this race. Going to be right at lap 55. No caution there, but there may be some bonus points awarded. Weather outside, 73 degrees, 10% humidity, very dry out, partly cloudy skies. Winds at 2 miles an hour, and then there's another look at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Again, one of the 1.5-mile D-shaped ovals that we head to. Travel on the front stretch, heavy banking in the corners, 114 degrees is the starting track temp. However, it is the old service, and you know what that means. Going to be a lot of slipping and sliding, but these cars are a little bit more downforce than the next gens. So I think you're going to see these guys a lot of throttle time, especially these first couple laps. Get a couple onboard rides, and it's going to be a good night. Here we go. Nancy Hickok, she's ready. Says here we go as well. So as they work their way out of turn number 4, Pace truck will pull down. 2 teammates, we know how good they were in the trucks. They were great last week at Daytona. Can they be great again today at Atlanta? Here we go. Pace truck is off into the Geico restart zone for the first time here tonight. Green flag in the air. We are racing at Atlanta. Couple of big moments already, but it is going to be Justin Parham pulling away to the lead at the end of lap number 1. Kenneth Redinger quickly settles into second. Just behind him, the 39 of Grant Turner getting comfortable behind the draft of those 2 leaders. Everybody else fanning out, and already you can see them working different lanes, bottom, middle, top. Pick wherever your car's got the most grip. Now let's go on board here early before these tires start to wear out. How about with your leader, Justin Parham, and take a ride and a listen here to what it sounds like for a lap around Old Atlanta. Again, we're used to New Atlanta where these guys go flat out like a plate track, but this surface, very abrasive. Tires are going to get eaten up as this race goes on, but here you go. Down into turn 1. Has to let out of the throttle. Actually, a pretty good amount. Still running about 170 miles an hour before he gasses it up to go down the long back straightaway. And then down into turn 3, he's going to be able to carry just a little bit more speed as he didn't get as much down the back stretch as he did the front stretch, and then he will gas it back up. And that is not too much to it. But right now, he has got a lot of pressure from his teammate, Kenneth Redinger. Those 2 going to continue to probably swap positions here for the first couple laps, but you want to have the clean air. Probably after about the first maybe 10 laps, I think that's when we start to see these tires wear out, but everybody's really single-filed out pretty quickly. Chase Greer in the 8 in front of the 69 of DJ Maddish. And then a couple cars that are already off the pace a little bit here. Bradley King, again, making his first start here tonight. So getting a little bit of a feel in that 17 machine. No rush. He's still got a whole season ahead of him. And then Richard Hurst with some technical difficulties. Looked like he was not able to make it out on track, even though he was in the roster to start tonight. But how about up front? Still 4 cars breaking away from the rest of the pack. 3 of them are the SPINO Racing drivers, with one of them being one of the independent drivers, Grant Turner in the 39, trying to play spoiler. And we talked about that's not really a stage break, but the halfway point. Again, no caution. So right now these guys have got to start planning pit strategy, and we know everybody's got 65% fuel. However, we don't know the exact lap number on that. These are a little bit different than the next gens, of course, or the Xfinity or trucks that we're used to seeing. So I'm thinking, if I had to guess, these guys should probably be able to make it probably no more than 2 stops, 2 pit stops, that is. But looking at fuel laps, maybe right around, if I had to guess, anywhere between 40, maybe right around 40, give or take a handful of laps. We'll have to see, though. Again, only 65% fuel, so maybe not quite that much. Getting back to 2x2. Meanwhile, further back, how about Sean Wilder? Not necessarily one of the independent drivers. He's got a team, but right now the only teammate on it's the Pit Stall Motorsports. We know how much talent he's got at the super speedways. Looking to see what he's got early in the mile-and-a-half package during the early part of this season. And how about the 88 of Clay Cantrell? Another one of the new drivers making his first start here tonight, and he is doing a phenomenal job already. The driver out of Bristol, Tennessee, making a lot of progress in that 88 machine. Just as I say that, gets into the outside wall. That'll open the door back up to John Lynch. He's taking a peek to the inside here. We'll see if he can make it stick. Nothing doing just yet. They'll drag race down the front straightaway just behind Ryan Gomes in the 55. Does he take a look at either of these guys? Not going to have the opportunity. He'll have to stay patient for now. You see some of these cars sparking again, a different setup, and that's just the front splitter bouncing up and down off this bumpy racetrack. You see a little bit of it in the corner. In fact, let's see if we can take the left front view here, one of your leaders, as the tire pressure rises. There you go. You still see it. Just a little bit of sparks, nothing too bad. Doesn't hurt the way these cars drive at all. Now, if it started bumping too much, you got to worry about getting tight, but so far, everybody looks to be handling pretty good. We saw a couple drivers get loose off of turn 2 on the opening lap, but I think that was just everybody getting those tires up to temps. And now that they have, boy, look at the racing. I mean, they continue to fan out. Richard Hurst, though, by the way, has now made it on track. He is being scored 9 laps down. Not sure how the officials will help him out on this one, but he is really going to have to get something going here, or hope to start getting some caution shortly. How about Matthew Fritz on the high side, working that top lane, nowhere else to go. And he's going to try to get a run here on the 55. Ryan Gomes for Trackside Motorsports is going to pass his teammate Jay Stinson in the process if he's able to do so. Talk about last week, the performance we saw from SPINO Racing, and seeing more of it already here early. But man, this battle is the one you got to keep your eye on. These guys continue to go at it 2x2. Gomes and Stinson side by side. Gomes will get clear as they get into turn number 3, and he'll drop right down to the bottom. That opens it up to Matthew Fritz up top. Wilder still in the middle, trying to get some clean air and some downforce on his Ford Mustang. But as this goes on, I think maybe we see more and more guys start to migrate to the bottom. I think the top maybe is a little faster right now. At least Matthew Fritz is certainly demonstrating it to be. But as these tires wear out, man, you just can only run up there so long. You see that wall isn't quite as straight and smoothly curved as you would expect. So, man, you get just a little bit too high, as the 69 up there did. Holy moly, what a close call right there for DJ Madish. He saves it. But, man, yeah, he's got some internet issues. You see him blinking a little bit as well. And what a close call that was, and he's able to get it back together, but maybe with a couple scrapes on the right side. Meanwhile, as we go back up front, it is Kenneth Redinger being scored as your leader in the 24 machine. Justin Parham in second. Clay Cantrell still ripping the wall. He is in third. Matthew Fritz following in a close fourth. Sean Wilder right now rounding out your top 5. And your biggest mover right now, guess who? The rookie, Clay Cantrell. And I say rookie, they're all rookies, but he's the newest one of them all. Again, first start, didn't make it to Daytona last week. But here we go. Parham had a big slip-up, by the way. He has fallen back to fourth here in the sequence of just about a corner. What in the world happened here to Parham? Let's actually pause this for just a second and back it up. Talked about he was running second. He's going to have an issue thinking back here in 1 and 2. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, it is. Not sure. Is he going to have to bail out of the throttle, or does he actually get up in the wall? Here we go. Looks like he's running the middle lane. Oh, it's just going to get tight on. Watch this. Look how much wheel he's got. Almost 90 degrees to the right. It's just not catching for him. Finally does, but man, he had to bail out of the throttle so much that the group behind just got a huge run. There goes Cantrell and Matthew Fritz, and nothing Parham could do. Was able to catch it, but definitely cost him some time. Looks like maybe we had an incident here with Jay Stinson as well. Not sure what this was all about, but he gets loose. This was early on. This might have been one of the opening laps. And he went through a little detour through the front stretch grass. Again, no harm, no foul. But definitely a couple guys getting caught off guard early. And then Richard Hurst as well. This is him making his way out of the pits. And then, ooh, with an issue there. He gets into the grass as well. But is he going to be able to save it? Yeah, he does after quite a few S's. And he gets back on track and was able to continue as well. So that's a couple of the close calls that we've had already here tonight. But it seems like everybody's settled down. Here's where all the racing action is at. All the way from about 5th to, man, probably packed to about 12th. Maybe a little bit closer than that, but nonetheless, Justin Parham is holding on for dear life right now. He needs to get to this first pit stop. Car just not doing what he wants. Not sure if he burned up the Goodyear tires that he's got on it already, but as more he continues to fade, the harder his job's going to be the rest of this race, trying to work through all that traffic once again. But Sean Wilder, Matthew Fritz, Clay Cantrell, they have all been going in the right direction. John Lynch, he's been nice and consistent tonight from the start. No issues. And speaking of John Lynch, a couple other guys, but let's start with him. He is one of our drivers that is carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. As always, we appreciate it. John Lynch, we get to see him a lot over on the NOMA Truck Series. A couple wins last season. Made a good playoff run. Didn't get quite as far as maybe he was hoping, but look to see if he can maybe capture a championship in the inaugural. And you never know, potentially only season for the Gen 6 Series, depending on attendance. I'll tell you what, I hope these guys keep going because it's just something different. I mean, for all you guys, gals that watch a lot of iRacing, we're used to seeing the same 3 series when it comes to ovals. This is just not a series that you see running officials, but man, I love these cars. I think they're so cool. I'm so excited to see NOMA try to pick these up for a season, see how they go, and whether we get another one or not, glad to be here broadcasting it. Glad that everybody's tuning out and hopefully enjoying it as well. The other driver that we got carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight, as always, is Mr. Grant Turner himself. He's got the pedal cam, but not having to do too much work just yet. Certainly a little bit more than we saw at Daytona last week. That action's going to pick up with the pedals as this race goes on. Maybe we'll get a look at those later. As he salutes the camera, he is ready to go. And right now, just as Justin Parham is probably ready to get to this next pit stop, he's struggling just a little bit right now. Faded back, and to be honest, I don't know if this is so much a handling issue, as I think these guys maybe just used up their stuff a little bit too much too early. And we see that be the name of the game, of course, in the trucks, but seems to be the name of the game here in the Gen 6s as well. Still a lot of racing going on. I'll tell you what, Kenneth Redinger, though, he has pulled away from all this action. He's about a 2nd and a 10th in front of everybody else. And then here you go, Clay Cantrell still working the middle of the top. Matthew Fritz, who was on the top, has now went to the bottom, and he is looking to make a pass. We'll see what he can do. That's going to be a different feel. As the car gets all the way down there, you see it start to bottom out. Not as much of an issue on the top side, but sure to way around. It's going to work out well. Matthew Fritz picks up another spot, up 5 from where he started, and he has now moved into the bridesmaid position all the way up to 2nd. By the way, Richard Hurst now being scored only 7 laps down. Not sure how he got 2 of those back, unless I just misread something. We have not had a caution, but good news for Richard Hurst and any of his fans out there. Oh man, John Lynch, hold on to it. That was a close call for the 13. He's able to save it, but you can tell turn 2 is the treacherous one here tonight for these guys. Thought Chase Greer in the 8, thought he was slipping back early, but I think he was another guy that was just saving his tires, waiting for everybody else to start making mistakes. And Richard Hurst maybe with some more trouble here, the 55. No, not so much. I thought we got data for a minute that he might have went through the grass again, but it looks like he is not. Boy, this is such an odd look. You got Redinger, as we said, a 2nd in front of the field, and then after that, just a pack still. I mean, we're 21 laps in. Tires, I'm telling you, they've started to fall off a little bit. But everybody is still up here racing hard. And right now, I would say the main battle is probably the one that Sean Wilder is leading. Him, Zach Stevens, and Grant Turner all going at it. Parham trying to hang in touch with these guys. And as the 8 of Chase Greer makes up that spot, he is now only down 2 from where he started, qualified 3rd. Jay Stinson moves up to 4th, so we have had all kinds of changes for position throughout your top 5, not including the lead. How about Matthew Fritz? Not quite in clean air, but he's in the cleanest air that he's been in up to this point. And now maybe starting to track down your leader, Kenneth Redinger. You see he's already got it down to 0.8 of a second here in just a couple laps after getting into that 2nd spot. Now getting to him and passing him is going to be a whole different story. One of the many Venom Racing drivers for this season. 23 laps in. Again, no signs of pit stops just yet, but don't count him out. Certainly going to be expecting him here. And I'd say probably about 15, 10. I'm going to make it wider. We'll call it 10 to 20 laps for now. And then, of course, when we see that first pit stop, we'll have a good idea. We certainly know they can't make it 55 laps on fuel, so you're not going to see this be a one-stop, no matter how much fuel you can save. But at this point, if you can make it to probably, I'd say right around lap 40 at the least, then you're definitely going to be good to go on a two-stop, assuming that we stay green the entire way. A couple more. Looks like we got a couple more watched in the chat, but Brittany S says, it's all right, Hurst, you will make it up. You got this. Yeah, it certainly is the case. We'll see if Richard Hurst can get a couple of those laps back. I would think that the admins, if they were to get a caution, would maybe help him out and let him get some of those laps back, or rather as many as he can under caution, but just too much clean racing right now to help him out. Here we go. Look at the move. The 91 on the inside. That's the 13 of John Lynch on the outside as they come off the banking. Jay Stinson getting a draft off of Chase Greer, who is getting ready to move up to that third position. We keep keeping an eye on this battle, but I'm telling you here in a couple laps, we might be switching to the battle up front. You see in the camera view, bottom left of your screen, Matthew Fritz, he's migrated to the top of the track, trying some things out. It worked for him initially. He had to go to the bottom to get through some of this traffic, but he decided he liked it, and he's going to go back up there. Here we go. Look at the pass by the 8s. Chase Greer, as they climb the banking, going to see if he can get alongside, and you just got to stay on the left rear. If he can do that, he'll get a little bit of a side draft down the front straightaway. He's not going to need it here because the outside's just going to have too much momentum. Jay Stinson with a little bit of an arrow push to Clay Cantrell. And that's all it took. Ooh, Jay Stinson slipped up a little bit. So did Sean Wilder. He actually makes a little bit of contact with that outside safer barrier. Just a little kiss. I think he's okay, but it starts to add up. And you can see these cars, they're starting to swing really, really tight. I thought for sure maybe we'd have some guys getting loose, which we have, but the overall trend has certainly been more tight than it has loose. And here we go. Let's hop back on board with one of these guys right in the middle of the pack. How about John Lynch himself? As you take a look at the weather again, track temp has heated up just a little bit more. 119 as you see right now. It's about 112 sim time. Wind still at 2 miles an hour out of the north, partly cloudy skies. But so far that has not helped the track condition. No clouds in sight for these guys as of yet. But watch John Lynch here. He's working the high side. In fact, I want to go to the inside. Sean Wilder, I think he's going to have a little bit more trouble here. Watch how tight he gets. And in fact, look at the dashboard speed. These guys earlier were running about 170 miles an hour through the corner. They are down 20 miles an hour since, down to 150 on entry. And the lap times, they're going to reflect. So we'll have to see what strategies we see when everybody does decide to pit as we compare some lap times right now. Looks like all the way back for Sean Wilder. Sean Wilder, the last lap time was a 33.5. You compare that to your leader up here, Kenneth Redinger, it's a 32.4, but he's more concerned right now about this man right here, Matthew Fritz. He has made it all the way up to your leader, and he is looking to put a challenge to the SPINO Racing team. Here we go as they exit 4. Talked about getting to him's one thing, passing's a whole different. Going to take a look to the inside. Is the run there as they go down the front stretch? It's not, and he's not going to be able to commit. So now they'll do a little lane swap. Boy, that was actually a really good move. Kenneth Redinger, all he can do at this point is try to take the 29's air away, but Matthew Fritz went high when the 24 went low. That's all the run he needs. He is going to jump to the bottom as they race down the back straightaway. Looking to get clear into 3, trying to hold it. Oh, we got a caution wrecking out back here. Who is it? I hear the contact on the inside wall. There it is. It's Jay Stinson in the 31 for Venom Racing. Oh, man, he gets clobbered by Ryan Gomes, who came flying in there at the end. And that just made a wreck that was not much damage to either of those cars a whole lot worse. Looks like they're both going to be able to roll away, but man, that was a surprising one. Didn't expect that. I think Ryan Gomes probably had already committed to the bottom, and then when Jay rolled down, just nowhere to go. Let's go back and take a look here. What happens to Jay? He was in this pack that had been racing really, really aggressive. You got to think that's part of it here. Do they get 3 wide? So that's Chase Greer on the inside in the 8. I think he's going to slip up a little bit here. So we'll go to the blimp cam first. Should take that back. We're going to go to the chopper. So Jay Stinson, the bright green, black, and white, 31. There's Chase Greer in the 8. And watch this. Yeah, so Chase Greer slips up big time. Jay is able to just miss him here, but now they're going to get 3 wide as John Lynch jumps to the outside. And then Sean Wilder coming up from behind. No contact there, but oh, they're going to go 4 wide here. Yeah, that's a no-no, and Jay Stinson sees that and jumps up to it. That was still a little bit of an odd look. I'm not sure if Jay thought he was clear or thought maybe Sean was going to let out, or if the car just got loose. Even the back straightaway is bumpy here, but yeah, boy, he darts straight up. Not clear at all, of course, and then nothing Wilder can do. Hooks him into the outside wall. They hit where there's still concrete, so that does a little bit more damage to the 31 than he would like. Sean Wilder is able to save it for the most part, keeps going, but right here, this is where it gets dramatic. Stinson rolls down, bad timing, and then, oh man. That's a big hit for Ryan Gomes. Yeah, there was nothing he could do. We'll take an onboard ride with him in just a moment. But let's take an onboard view first with Jay Stinson here. See if the car gets out of shape on him or he just tries to shoot this gap when he realizes they're 4 wide. I think that's the car getting a little light on him here. Watch the wheel input. And now sometimes what happens here with these cars, especially on a track like Atlanta, if you turn to the right just a little too much, back tires get a little out of shape. Let's keep an eye on the RPMs and the steering. Watch his hands here. So he sees that him and Chase Greer are getting close. Maybe goes a little bit to the right, but I think that tells the story right there. Watch the RPMs. Watch the number here. See it's 7.6. Watch it jump. It's going to jump by about 200 RPMs, and then watch the wheel. Goes left, RPMs jump up about 2, almost 300. I think maybe he gets just a slight bit of wheel spin. That kind of causes him to go right. He's trying to correct. Unfortunately, though, tire's just too old. Nothing he can do. There's Sean Wilder. So, of course, he had nowhere to go. And then here's the onboard. You see Ryan Gomes. He is still way back there, just getting ready to come to turn 3 as Jay's going to slide down. Watch this hit. Man. And on the contrary, here's the onboard for Ryan Gomes. So these guys actually wreck as he's just coming out of turn 2. Sees the smoke. Staying in it for now. Staying in it for now. He's going to he lets out here. He sees Jay stopped up top. Says, okay, I'll go to the bottom. Jay rolls down. And yeah, I mean, he's hard on the brakes. No gas. There's just nothing he can do. It's too late. These cars not necessarily going to just check up out of the clear blue. As here we go. Take a couple more looks here. There's Jay Stinson getting turned into the wall. Again, I don't think the damage was too bad right there. You saw the left front was a little crumpled along with the right, but it's right here where it's going to get really nasty. And that's going to do more damage, I think, to Ryan Gomes. He piles in with absolutely nowhere to go. Take one more look at this one here from the spectators. They had a good look at this one. We talk about 3 wide. It's doable here. A little tricky on old tires. 4 wide, that's not going to happen. That was with a couple of teammates, so maybe a little bit of miscommunication there, not sure, but the 8 of Chase Greer slips up. Stevens tries to take advantage at the same time as Lynch going to the outside. Stinson stuck in the middle, nowhere to go. Nancy Hickok says, he got that right, but here we go. Looks like they're going to line back up. Pace cars flip the lights off, so we have got the 1 to go signal. 33 laps complete, not halfway yet. Still got about 22 laps when they take the green until that point. But it is going to be Clay Cantrell lining up here first. Again, everybody did go down to take 4 tires and fill it up with fuel. So kind of a fresh restart to the run here. And this now gets interesting. This might make it a 1 stop if they can make it about 40 laps, maybe just a little less on fuel. We'll keep an eye on that as the run progresses. Kenneth Redinger going to line up second. Matthew Fritz, John Lynch, row number 2, and Chase Greer and Grant Turner in row number 3. All right, we saw the lap times before caution, mid to high 33s. We'll see what these guys run here these first couple laps. Burners now. For Matthew Fritz, you got to wonder, was this a blessing or was this maybe something he didn't want to see? We know how strong he is on the long run so far here tonight, but the question is going to be, what can he do on the short run now that he's got a little more track position to work with? Green flag is back in the air. 34 laps complete at Atlanta. Diving down into turn 1, Kenneth Redinger quickly able to pull out to a lead. The 88 of Clay Cantrell just not able to hang with him right off the get-go. And you see Matthew Fritz, not the restart he wanted as well. Same for Grant Turner. I mean, where did John Lynch come from? He is going to be able to settle into that 3rd spot. Fritz falling all the way back to 5th, make it 6th as Parham's going to shoot by. Grant Turner thought about taking a look to the high side, but it's actually going to be John Lynch. He'll get to the right rear of the 88. Clay Cantrell has to hold low. And now that is going to put SPINO Racing right back to 1-2. Justin Parham, the bright yellow and black Chevy Camaro, trying to make some progress through all this mess as well. And based off of this restart, seems like the general, I don't know, I guess I want to say the fastest way around, started to migrate to the top here a little bit. Kenneth Redinger, he's on the top. He likes the way it feels, especially on these new Goodyears. So is John Lynch, Grant Turner, Parham, Chase Greer, etc., etc. The bottom, though, Clay Cantrell, he's holding his own, doing what he can right now. Hoping these tires can start to break in a little bit and maybe help him out. Looking at track temp, still hanging the same from when we last checked. Back here, there's Jay Stinson, Zachary Stevens, two guys, well, they were in the vicinity of that last wreck. Jay Stinson, of course, involved in it. And it looks like, unfortunately, Richard Hurst, by the way, you see him in this pack now, was not able to get any of those laps back. So he is still being scored 7 laps down. He's going to have to hope that he can get the caution. He's just going to need so many at this point. I think he's just out here trying to scrap for whatever points he can get. Of course, if you get another big wreck that takes anybody out of contention, could be where he could gain. As you see now, Ryan Gomes in the 55, who is also involved in that last wreck. He is being scored 1 lap down. So he's open for another caution to get either the lucky dog or the free pass. Kenneth Redinger still leads that train on the outside. Clay Cantrell, Matthew Fritz, they have been the only two daring to try the bottom. Everybody has just continued to stay single file up top. Again, almost looks like we're at Daytona, which is kind of one of the things that you love about this package. For anybody that remembers back to when they were running this in real life back in about, what was it, 2019, 2018, right around the prime years. Maybe even to, I think it was 20, I'm not sure if 21 or 2 is when they started the next gens, but when they came to a lot of these mile and a halves, it actually raced just like a super speedway. In the early portion of a run, draft was heavy, there was a lot of downforce, you could run a lot of speed, and it took a lot more time, but cars were still fun to handle. There's Chase Greer in the 8, see top of your screen as we were looking on the cockpit view right there for Sean Wilder, slipping up just a little bit. He was able to save it, and he continues on, and Redinger has not pulled away just yet from John Lynch, but Justin Parham has pulled into the top 3. Grant Turner back and forth. Clay Cantrell still in 5th, trying to move up a spot right in front of Chase Greer. He is going to be able to do just that. Sean Wilder in the 91. Looking to see, I thought he was taking a look to the inside a couple times, but nothing doing. He's just trying to poke that nose out to get a little bit of clean air. Chase Greer doing the opposite. He's going to the high side, trying to get a little bit of clean air, but on that top line, and just not rolling as well as you would expect it to right now. Grant Turner reclaims that position. Meanwhile, the 88 of Clay Cantrell, who fell back right off the restart, now looking to maybe make up some ground again. He looks to the inside of Justin Parham, and if he picks that spot up, maybe help separate the SPINO Racing teammates here just a little bit, as we have now completed 40 laps of this 110-lap affair. TJ Madish, the 69 back in this pack. It's actually 3 cars right now. Bradley King's in it as well, along with Ryan Gomes. And again, we talked about King. He's up 2 spots from where he started tonight. Got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is his first race. Rookie not doing too bad, but if there's one you got a spotlight right now, it's still got to be Clay Cantrell. His first race as well. I don't know him from any of the other NOMA series. But boy, he is coming out strong as of right now. Missing a couple drivers that we had last week that aren't here this week. So this is where, if you're any of the guys that had a good finish last week, you are trying to keep that streak going, get as many points as you can. See if you can't try to pull away a little bit in points as the season progresses. Again, it's not a very long season. We'll talk a little bit more about the schedule here later and what points are looking like after the first race. But yeah, again, all in all, just not that long of a season. I think it'll probably be over in maybe a couple months, but this also is, I believe, the only off week that these guys have. And again, these races different formatting than what we see in the trucks. Over there, they do 2 stage breaks. Over here, no stage breaks. There is a halfway mark, which again, not sure. Believe maybe these guys are awarded some extra points. Not 100% sure on that. We'll have to find out here from the officials as the season goes on, but no stages. So you got to come into these races planning on a green flag pit stop strategy. Now again, it is fixed setup, so you can't make any in-race adjustments. All you can do is go and get 4 tires and fuel as quickly as you can. Come back out. Try to save these tires because you need them. And unfortunately for Matthew Fritz, he was trying to hold his own up there, but just doesn't seem to quite have as much speed as maybe he needs out of that 29 here in the early run. But don't count him out, because we saw this on the last run, and all of a sudden we got late in the going for that run just before the caution came out. He found speed. He found a ton of it, was able to get by all the traffic that got by him, and then set his sights and got all the way up to the rear bumper of Kenneth Redinger. Got to wonder, what if we could have got to that first green flag stop? What would the 29 have been able to do with him? And here he's going to maybe try to tuck in front of his teammate Chase Greer in the 8. And that's a group of 3 Venom Racing drivers. You got the 29, the 8, and the 31. Venom Racing, probably still the biggest team, but right now currently probably second in points. Right behind SPINO Racing, who again had an absolutely phenomenal week last week. The teamwork was brilliant. So far tonight, it has not disappointed. Grant Turner on the inside, the 39, still showing a lot of strength. We saw this in the short run for him as well. The questions were coming in about how much speed did the 39 have on the long run. And after that last caution, you wonder if he maybe tried to change the strategy just a little bit as we take another look. The onboard cam, and of course the driver cam for Grant Turner. He's running that top lane right there through 3 and 4. We'll see what he decides to do here through 1 and 2. But the 13 of John Lynch and the 24 of Kenneth Redinger starting to pull away just ever so slightly. See if this trend continues, as we have now marked off 46 of 110 laps for this 165-mile event. We are going to take our first break of the night. We will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Kenneth Redinger leads at Atlanta. Front, now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the trial.
Oh, he gets in the lead under record.
3x3 entering 4.
3-2. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the FLATWOODS 165 in the NOMA Gen 6 Series, of course, presented by Blue Ridge Auto Group. 51 of 110 laps complete, and that means that we are approaching the halfway mark. Again, no set caution here for the halfway point, but wondering if the leader is going to get any sort of bonus or extra points. And right now, your leader is the man that's led the most all night so far, and that is Kenneth Redinger. But guess who we talked about now? You see him starting to work his way through the field. That is that bright blue Aqua 29 machine for Matthew Fritz. Venom Racing, boy, he has figured out how to save these tires, and I think almost more impressive than that is even with saving tire, he's still able to run the top so effectively. He's going to try to work his way by Grant Turner here as they go down the front straightaway. Clay Cantrell still with a good run going for him tonight. It's been the case all night. The 88 currently in third, trying to hold on to that final podium position. John Lynch in second. And, of course, Kenneth Redinger up in that first position as of right now. When we hit the halfway mark, 55 to go. But, again, expecting that last pit stop, which is really the climax of this race at this point. That's going to be probably, if I had to guess, I'm thinking these guys got to get to around lap 70. Based off when we went back green, I think if you can make it to lap 70 to be extra safe, I would say maybe closer to lap 75, 80. I'm not sure if they can make it that far. But the closer you get to that mark, the better your chances are going to be to make this on one stop. Again, if they pit anytime, I would say right around lap 70 to 73, then it is going to be awfully close, and we might start to see a little bit of strategy if needed in terms of saving some fuel. with Kenneth Redinger out in front, he can continue to save some tires. He's probably going to need to. Matthew Fritz, well, you talk about the job he does, but man, how does he run so close to the wall without ever touching it? Let's take a ride on board here with Matthew Fritz as they get into the corner. Look at that third seam. You see there's kind of three distinct seams here at Atlanta. The one on the bottom, well, I say three distinct lanes. Let me put it that way. Two distinct seams. The one on the bottom and the one on top. He's running just above that one on the top or the third lane. And as a result, he gets a lot of clean air as Clay Cantrell. This time, actually, he's going to try the same lane. Fritz gets in that dirty air. Oh, man, I think he may have made just slight contact with the wall there. He had to bail out of it. You can see that's just how important it is to get clean air here at a track like Atlanta. Not a lot of grip from the tires at this point in the run. You're trying to get any sort of downforce you can. And when you got a car right in front of you, that's going to upset, make the air really turbulent. That's going on to the nose of your car. And ultimately, in this case, that translates to if you're Matthew Fritz, you're saying, Clay, please pick a different lane. Same for you, John Lynch. The best way I'm going to roll this lane is if I have all the clean air. But 3 and 4, Cantrell still seems to be running the top. So all of a sudden, it seems like that is to a degree kind of stopped the progress of the 29. He's had to figure out something just a little bit different here, but I've had everybody single filing out during this run. It's not what we saw at the last run, but also what we are seeing. Oh, a pit stop. Sean Wilder. What in the world happened? That's huge damage to the 91. Let's see if we can back this up at all. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, just how far this was. Yeah, I think we will. Man, he hit something. He hit it hard. Looks like it's going to be the outside wall, but man, what sparked this for the 91? Going down the back straightaway. Oh, he gets tagged by Zachary Stevens. I believe there was a little bit of a checkup right here. It's Chase Greer. Let's go to the cockpit view. So there's his teammate in front as they get into 3. Well, he's got a huge run. Man, what happens there to Chase Greer for him to catch this quickly all of a sudden? Wow, I mean, he kind of gets that speed out of nowhere. Does Chase Greer get like a checkup here? I mean, what happens? So he's alongside Jay Stinson. Oh, he does get out of the throttle, so that explains the checkup. And then Zachary Stevens was just not able to quite react in time here, but he's also blinking. May not have helped. Right after he hits Sean Wilder, you're going to see him blink out. But man, Wilder takes the brunt of that hit. That was heavy contact to the outside wall, and that was enough to send it back into it, and ultimately he decided to bring it down the pits, and it might have even broke his suspension here. Yeah, you hear it bouncing around. His right front is toast. So even though he hit the safer barrier, it certainly didn't feel that soft. There's a look at it. So he had to bring it down the pits, and fortunately that could put an end to his night here if we don't get a caution. 60 laps in, your halfway leader was Kenneth Redinger. No surprises there, but everybody's still trying to keep him. I always considered about a second within arm's reach, and everybody's kept him within a second so far for most of this run. Maybe starting to close in a little bit here is second through fourth. See John Lynch, Clay Cantrell, and Matthew Fritz kind of on an island by themselves, and then it's Jay Stinson and Grant Turner still within drafting range, along with Chase Greer, Zach Stevens, Justin Parham, and then Bradley King. It's now broken inside your top 10, put him up another spot. DJ Madish back in 11th. Ryan Gomes in 12th. Then Sean Wilder, man, still stuck on the pits. He had a fast repair. Not sure if he forgot to check it. I'm not sure what happened here, but it's a really tough break for the 91 again. We're showing some promise here tonight. Then Richard Hurst still 7 laps down, but still out and chugging along. Hoping that we can see some cautions here, and probably at least 7 of them if he wants a chance to get back in it. It's just the 39 of Grant Turner while everybody here continues to race. Before we get to that final green flag stop, let's take a look at a couple, we'll call them a couple, stats. First thing we're going to look at here is going to be the schedule for the rest of the Gen 6 series. As we head over, take a look. We started the season out with Daytona International Speedway, 70 laps around that 2.5-mile track. That was a fun one. And here tonight at Old Atlanta. Next week, we're going to head to Pocono. It's going to be another interesting one. And then it's Darlington up next. That'll be a throwback, followed by Talladega, the next and last super speedway that these guys will head to. Then Nashville Super Speedway, some action in the Music City, and then they will head over to Chicagoland, followed by Charlotte, Texas, and then Las Vegas. And let me say, those last 2 tracks on the schedule, there was 2 of Joey Hickok's favorite tracks, Vegas and Texas. And these cars at Texas, a little interesting. Not sure what to expect there, but Vegas, Man, that's going to be a fun one. You don't want to miss out on that one. What a great place to host the championship race. And I mean, you can see it there, but I believe the format for this season is pretty simply just whoever's got the most points at the end of the season, they are going to be your champion. No round of 16, no round of 8. Old-fashioned style, Gen 6. And so we'll see right now. Kenneth Redinger is putting together a pretty good resume, and if he keeps it up, I know it's still a long ways to go, but he might have the season championship a couple races before we get to the end. Now, we talked a little bit about, we got points and team points, of course, for this series. Looking at points, Kenneth Redinger, who got the win last week at Daytona, of course, leads in that battle. Chase Greer in second. Justin Parham back in third. Matthew Fritz fourth. Zachary Stevens fifth. John Lynch in sixth. John Shileno, who we don't see out here tonight, he is in seventh, tied with Grant Turner. Sam Boutwell in ninth, and then rounding out your top 10 is Haas Beverly, who unfortunately we also do not see out here tonight. And then taking a look at team points, take a guess, SPINO Racing with a healthy total after last week, but all in all, Venom Racing actually not too far behind. It looks like it's about an 8-point difference right now, followed by Asphalt Outlaws, High Octane, and Pitstall Motorsports, and I think they'll add another team onto that tonight with the new Trackside Motorsports driver joining in the field here tonight. That was Ryan Gomes. But as we focus back in on the action on track, Kenneth Redinger still leads, but that second group, they're there. They closed. They are now within under half a second, make it under 0.3 of a second. So each straightaway, John Lynch, he is going to get closer and closer. You know, Redinger's going to start to feel the pressure. Question becomes, did he save enough tire their teammates? So not going to race each other probably too hard, but Lynch knows how important this track position is going to be, especially if he can get the lead, maybe try to make a little bit of a healthy gap for himself before we come in for this first round of green flag pit stops. And right now running the same lane, but John Lynch able to run it just a little bit better. Got to be careful, though. You don't want to use your stuff up here. Going to need it for the latter portion of this run, which we are approaching. Kenneth Redinger continues to hold on to the lead with now 67 of 110 complete. Pit stops expected, I would say probably within the next 10 laps. That's going to be my guess, and I think if they can make it probably another 5 laps, then we're going to say that they're definitely good to go the rest of the way. Even if it's a little bit less, they might be good to go the rest of the way. And so do we see any strategy here? Short pit, long pit, do you cut it right down the middle? Getting ready to find out is, oh man, Jay Stinson with a big moment, lays down his own tire tracks, but he's still able to save it off of turn number 2. He got really, really loose as he was to the inside. Actually, it kind of started to get tight, and as a result, he had to put a lot more wheel into it. All of a sudden, the back end swapped, and he got really out of shape. And man, when you start to lay down your own tire tracks, it is not often that you save it after that point, but that was a heck of a job for Jay Stinson, and keeps himself out of the wall. By the way, speaking of Jay Stinson, look at the front of this car. I don't know if he actually used a Fast Pro. He may have just done optional repairs for that last wreck, and yet he's still out here inside the top 4 and maybe going to fight for the lead here in just a moment. Doing a nice job, but here we go. The battle now is going to be for second before it'll be for the lead. Clay Cantrell has gotten onto the inside now of John Lynch, trying to see if he can get around, but Lynch carrying the momentum from the outside line, working down the front straightaway. Nobody going to have anything for him, so he will keep that position. And the problem with being on tires this old is each time that you make a lunge, make a move, that's a lot more tire that you're going to burn off. And unfortunately, if it doesn't work, all that tire you have now lost and not going to have to use it if you want to try to make the move again. How about Zach Stevens? After that incidental contact that he had with Sean Wilder, was still able to recover, pull up to the back of this pack. He is up 5 positions from where he started this race tonight. But again, your biggest mover in the field and inside the top 10, of course, right now is Clay Cantrell. He is up 7 from where he started, qualified back in 10th. And he's going to swap back to the outside here. Tried the inside on John Lynch. Couldn't get anything going, but I think he's more or less trying to set himself up for a run. The ideal thing that you could do is if you have all the momentum in the world, as soon as you're getting off of turn 2 or 4, that's when you jump to the inside, use a little bit of a side draft, which, by the way, is extremely potent in these cars. Haven't got to see it a lot, but here's what we're going to see is our first green flag pit stop of the night. It's going to be Kenneth Redinger. Oh, big lockup for the 24. Slides big time. We'll see if that's a speeding penalty for the 24. That could be disastrous if it is. He's going to take 4 tires and fuel. We'll have to see if it keeps him any longer than that. And so the first green flag pit stop right at lap 72. This is Man, this is like right at that mark, and gets a little bit hot into his box, but he's okay there, gets it straightened up. And, I guess he didn't. He overshot a little bit. Maybe, no, he was too far to the left. Oh, man, this is a bad pit stop gone worse for Kenneth Redinger. Is finally going to get it correct. But, again, he is going to lose all sorts of time. Do we get any more pit stops? Sure enough, we do. John Lynch and Matthew Fritz, the 13 and the 29. But, man, the mistakes for Redinger continue. Luckily, though, it looks like he did not get penalized for speeding. Boy, he is going to have a ton of time that he's going to have to make up right here as he works his way back out on track. TJ Madish also pulled it into his box. He is currently not being scored on the lead lap, I don't believe. Actually, we've got a couple more laps down now, including Bradley King, Chase Greer, Ryan Gomes, Kenneth Redinger, Justin Parham, DJ Madish, Richard Hurst still 7 down, and Sean Walter looks like he may have called it quits for the night. He is now 17 laps down. So John Lynch, Matthew Fritz get their stops clean, and they will go back out. Clay Cantrell, Jay Stinson both going to make their stops here. They will take 4 tires and fuel. So the cycles just continue. Let's see if we got anybody else just yet. But it looks like right now Zach Stevens and Grant Turner still out on track. And I think the longer you can stay out, the better. A couple short pitch strategies, a couple lap or 2 laters. And we'll see just how long here can Turner and Stevens go. Stevens, he'll bring it down to the pits this time. Does he get in clean? He sure enough does. Does Grant Turner follow? Looks like he will as well. This is a tricky pit road, by the way, as you see right there. Grant Turner, he is going to lock up as well. He's able to keep it going. Man, we've had a lot of close call for speeding penalties. I have not been able to figure out any just yet. I think we'll have a better idea here once they all cycle out. They get back going, we'll let you know. But Zach Stevens takes 4 in field. Does Turner get into the box clean? He does it. These cars really sliding into the pit, sliding through the box. Richard Hurst looks like he overshot his box. That's what I'm talking about. We saw a lot of guys overshooting their box a little bit here. It looks like Ryan Gomes back in the pits. So Stevens will exit out, but man, we certainly separated the men from the boys right here through this pit stop. Oh my goodness. Man, look at these gaps here. So John Lynch, in fact, let's pull up the track map. So here's John Lynch in first. Look back to second. He pitted 1 lap sooner. And you get Matthew Fritz pitted with him. We got to go all the way back here, even further. Zach Stevens, who pitted 1 lap later. Look at the difference. I mean, it's night and day. Tells you just how much time new tires are making, how important it is to get a nice, smooth stop. So all of a sudden, John Lynch finds himself with a healthy lead. And for Kenneth Redinger, 6 seconds back from the leader after the mistake-filled pit stop. So unfortunately, I think he's going to need a caution if he wants any chance of maybe making a comeback and winning this thing. Nancy Hickok says, Austin, does pit stops without another driver hurt you on this track? That's a good question, Nancy, and actually, I don't believe it does. I mean, yes, you can get a little bit of extra draft. Maybe if you have a teammate that you're really coordinated with and you both make a perfect pit stop, you get out the same. Maybe it helps a little bit, but I mean, as you can see here, the pit stops, everybody had such a different approach. We saw a lot of people struggle. John Lynch did not. He must have put in some extra practice. He got in the smoothest, got into his box the smoothest, got out the quickest. And I mean, just look at the difference it makes. That goes for him and Matthew Fritz. I don't mean to exclude Fritz here, but I mean, what a job they both did. Find themselves almost 4 seconds ahead of everybody else that made pit stops. Now, granted, you got a couple guys back here that did pit a lap after them, so we'll see if that 1 lap newer tire makes a difference as this run nears its end, but still got a ways for that, and I think the main battle to keep an eye on is going to be between these two. That's exactly what we'll do when we come back. John Lynch in first, Matthew Fritz in second, Clay Cantrell and company all chasing. Who's going to win it at Atlanta? Stick with us to find out. front. Now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the trailer.
Oh, he gets over in the lead on the record.
3 by 3 entering 4.
3 deep.
Blocked.
At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning at Talladega. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Starting to close in on the end of the FLATWOODS 165. In fact, when they cross the line this time, we're getting close to that 25 lap to go mark. Actually, they're going to have to go around a couple more times before we get there. But up front, John Lynch, Matthew Fritz thought Lynch was going to maybe start to pull away. Has not been the case. Matthew Fritz has tracked him down. Right now, this is the race that has got us fixated. We'll go back, take a look real quick, a little bit further back where a little bit more action is going on between these two teammates. Chase Stinson again with another big moment off of turn 2. Chase Greer just in front of him. Jay will have to tuck in line. There's Kenneth Redinger trying to fight and claw for whatever he can get. He's got a couple spots back, but unfortunately still, I think, just too far behind the leaders. He has trimmed it down. It looks like it's about 5.5 seconds from what it was back. More than 6 seconds, but again, I just don't think he's going to have enough time. Zach Stevens in the 7. Talk about he pit a lap later. Doesn't look like that strategy's worked out too well. It's not been able to make up any time as of yet. Same deal for Grant Turner. He currently sits in 8th. So with that knowledge, back up front we go, and as they cross the line this time, it will indeed be 25 laps to go. Now from this point, do expect everybody that is pit to be good on fuel. So now it's just a matter of kind of that cat and mouse game. When does Matthew Fritz make the move? You got to be careful here. Sometimes you're tempted to try to sit behind a guy, which can work if you can get him to make a mistake, but you sit behind him a little too long, all of a sudden that clean air starts to become just too important, and you just can't make the pass anymore. As in that camera view, you saw, I know it was way in the distance, but a little bit of lap traffic here. And as it stands now, it looks like the first lappers are still about a quarter of a track, give or take maybe a little bit more ahead of your leader. So I'm not sure that these guys will reach lap traffic before the end of this race, but if they do, it could certainly be a little bit of a problem in itself trying to get around that. Somebody could use a pick, or maybe Matthew Fritz try to use one of those lap cars as a pick, if you will. So here we go back here. Redinger now going to work his way to the inside of Jay Stinson. Zach Stevens actually looks like was able to get back around these two all of a sudden. So just like that, Stevens is up to 4th. Maybe he heard me say something. All of a sudden flipped it into another gear. He is now back up to 7 from where he started. Clay Cantrell, who's in 3rd. He is also up 7 from where he started, looking to close out on a podium in his first start. It want to be probably one of the most impressive feats I've ever seen for a new driver. I think the best one I've ever seen was we had a guy in the PGR Money Racing Series come in and win on his first race named Chris Parkman. Man, I'm telling you, if you see any of those PGR races, that's just not something that happens. You don't do that. And for Clay Cantrell to be running this good shows what you're going to have to expect and how dangerous of a player this guy's going to be late in the season. So it was a battle back here for 4th, 5th, maybe all the way back to 6th. Has now mellowed out as Kenneth Redinger was not able to make the pass on Jay Stinson, and so now he's lost some momentum, falling back. And then Chase Greer, we talked about, he is in 7th in the 8 machine. Grant Turner back in 8th. Justin Parham 9th, and a little bit surprising here. Parham in the trucks was not too bad at Old Atlanta, but just has not panned out for him the way he was hoping here. We'll have to regroup as we move on next week to Pocono, see what he can do there. I don't know if I've seen a Pocono race with these guys yet. If I have, it was back in the first season that I did with them in the trucks. Again, that's going to be a really exciting one. So as we go back up front, the pass has been made. Matthew Fritz over John Lynch. And we need to back this up a little bit because we're going to have to take a look at this one here. Happened, I think, probably just about a lap ago. I'm wondering if Lynch slipped up. Yeah, sure enough, what happened, I kind of figured, is all of a sudden, but Fritz had actually got by here first. So let's back this up even more to this move being made since we didn't get to catch it live. So here you go. Fritz on the high side. That's where he's been the fastest all day. Lynch on the inside. Lynch sliding up. He's going to have to bail. He just can't quite get the grip he needs. So now Fritz, with that little bit of side draft off the corner, was able to drag race him down the front straightaway. As they go into one, though, this is where John Lynch gets to the bottom. He's doing everything he can here. He's trying to hold some speed. Fritz rolling up top. 13 just doesn't have it. He gets really, really tight, gets in the wall, and then, oh my goodness, almost in the tire tracks of Jay Stinson, but I think that was an even bigger save. Unfortunately, that's the reason that it looks like Fritz has already pulled out to the 1.2 second lead that he's gotten. And I say unfortunate. By that, I mean unfortunate for John Lynch and very fortunate for Matthew Fritz and any Matthew Fritz fans out there. The Manny Rays Mafia, I believe this might be their, call him signature driver, if you will. One of the biggest supporters for Manny Rays and one of the nicest guys that you will find on Hickox Racing or Venom Racing. Always a put the teammates first mindset. Does that even at tracks like this, but tonight he has been the man when it's come to the long run. And after Kenneth Redinger made that mistake, if you had to pick a new favorite, it came down to the 29 or the 13. And now that we're in the final 20, I'm going to go ahead and say pick one more favorite. I think it's going to have to go to that 29 machine. But Lynch maybe going to put another fight back here. It's about 1.1 seconds. The gap from first to second. Lynch has not gave up just yet. So maybe if he can start to track it down here, get him back within a second, that draft will start to really kick in. He starts to pull up, and you can't count out some of these guys as well here. Zach Stevens, who's back in fourth. Looks like that gap is down now to about 3 seconds from him to the leader. 18 laps. He's going to have to make up about, I believe that's about 6/10 every lap or so. Or excuse me, going to have to make up a second every 6 laps, if you will. So we'll see if he can make that happen. Clay Cantrell going to have some pressure, and these two, if they battle at all, it's going to hinder Zach Stevens' efforts. As we take a ride on board here again with Zach Stevens. Working the high side. Man, he is scrubbing off that right front. You got to be careful. That car is going to fall off with grip here eventually if he's not. And here's the run. Where does he take it on Clay Cantrell? Bottom, top. Ooh, looks like he commits to the top. Clay takes the same lane. They follow each other into the corner. That's not going to help anybody's cause there except for Clay's. Zach Stevens getting tight. Is it enough, though? Does he have the run? He doesn't. I think he's going to try to set up the pass here as they go through turns 1 and 2. Further back, Grant Turner still hanging on to 8th. Checking out on our drivers with the driver cams here tonight. 39 had some speed throughout the run, but after that pit stop, just has not really been able to find it since. And then, of course, John Lynch currently runs in second. By the way, he's got it back under a second, but it's just kind of fluctuating back and forth to a degree. He's going to have to pick up that pace just a little bit more if he wants a shot at it, but there's a look at the driver cam. Holding a nice, smooth, steady wheel, doing anything he can to try to give himself a chance. As we go back up, we talked about lap times earlier. Let's take one more look at these for the night. 33.2, so they're not quite at the end of that tire run yet, but you can tell that those tires continue to fall off, and with 15 laps to go, man, Lynch is giving it everything that he's got. You saw him fishtailing off at 2. The rear end was hitting the outside wall. Let's take a ride on board, actually, with this young man. Man, this is going to be a fun one to watch. 3 and 4, he's okay, still getting tight, but man, 1 and 2. We talked. It's been a struggle all night for a lot of guys. It's not just John Lynch, but you try to push, you just try to get too much, and eventually you can almost turn the wheel too much. You hit those wheels too far to the left, all of a sudden it wants to do more sliding than it does turning. There you go. He's just getting really tight, trying everything he can, and then he gets loose as he gets off the turn and keeps the wheel in it, but you certainly can't say that he's going to go out without a fight. Just don't know if he's got enough time. He's holding it right at about a second. Matthew Fritz with that clean air this late in the run, all he's got to do is stay relatively smooth. Boy, he has looked smooth all night. The 29 now closing in on 13 laps to go. Just take a look here. He is still running the top side. That's a little bit of the difference here as well. As you go to the blimp cam, Lynch in the middle. He gets tight on exit. Matthew Fritz taking the high side. He's able to get woed up right in the middle of the corner and really put the pedal down on exit. So we'll see if John Lynch tries to move his line around at all or if he just continues to work the middle. And then there is Zach Stevens. Take a look at the gap. Remember when we said it was 3 seconds? Well, guess what? It is down to under 2 seconds. So all of a sudden, we are adding a third variable into this equation. of who are we going to see win the second race of the season. Clay Cantrell, you see him back in 4th. Jay Stinson in 5th. Kenneth Redinger has now fallen back to the aid of Chase Greer. Grant Turner catching up on that battle as well. Justin Parham in 9th, and then there's Ryan Gomes. Currently a lap down. He is in the lucky dog position if we were to get a late caution. Bradley King currently being scored 6 laps down. Richard Hurst in the pits, and I believe he is maybe still 7 down, maybe 8. Sean Walter 17 down, and DJ Maddish looks like also due to an issue has retired from the race. So we currently only have 9 cars on the lead lap, and there's Richard Hurst making his way out of the pits. Going to be 10 laps to go when we cross the line this time. Again, want to thank everybody that has tuned in up to this point at one point or another. Hope you are having a good Thursday night. No PGR after this. Next place we're going to head for guaranteed is going to be next Tuesday. Over to the Tuesday Night Thunder round of 8. That's going to be a really good one. Don't miss out on that one. But we may be doing a broadcast for McCall Motorsports Money Racing on Saturday. Haven't officially decided on it just yet, but we will let you know when we have more information. How about a good look at this? We haven't got to see this too much tonight, but you want to know the difference between old tires and new tires. Watch Richard Hurst. Looks like he is in a completely different car right here than Matthew Fritz. Actually, is he going to cut Fritz a break here? I think he does. I'm surprised because Richard Hurst, he's got all the speed in the world right here to go around the 29 if he chooses to do so. The lap times are certainly going to reflect, as I think in second there, I may have just heard John Lynch get into the wall, but guess what? Zach Stevens, he's made the pass. Hold your horses. This is going to come down to the wire. He's got it down to 1.2 seconds. And Zach Stevens again pitted, I believe it was only about, it might have been 2 laps later. It's either a lap or 2 laps later than Matthew Fritz. Seemed like he had saved a little bit of tire as well at the beginning of the run. So now what can he do? 9 laps with a gap of about a second here as they come off of turn 4. So he's going to need to make up about a tenth, a little bit more a lap here. That is certainly very doable with the pace that we've seen Stevens putting down. Oh, Lynch with trouble here. He spins it. Oh, big hit for John Lynch. Does this draw the caution? Nothing yet. He slides down. Now the caution flies. And oh, man. The driver of the 13 having such a good night. And now this is going to change his race along with a lot of others. I think this is a result of just trying to push too hard. We kept seeing him trying to get more and more. The natural instinct, what these guys just do. And, man, he's not happy about it either. Just took the driver cam off, but he's banging the head on the steering wheel. He knows he made a mistake. Cost himself what looked like a podium position here. Let's back this up to where it starts. I was just getting ready to go over here because he had trouble on the front straightaway. Seems like was just never able to get it back under him. Here we go, coming off of 4. Gets into the wall, gets loose. And by the way, let me remind you, these guys are on old tires. Gets on the track, trying to save it, whips back around. He's trying so hard to stay in the throttle. And then he's still trying to stay in the throttle, just trying to keep some track position. But I think that's one of those learning situations there where John Lynch just got to bail out of the throttle eventually. He's trying so hard to stay in it, hoping that it's going to straighten out and he can maintain some sort of track position. But man, I know these guys don't have a lot of experience overall in these cars, and I think that's one of those situations where these things just, they don't want to straighten out unless you bail out of the throttle. You saw the first couple times he does, and it straightens out, but he just tries to get back to the throttle a little too early, and it just doesn't want to. And eventually it snaps back around, goes straight up to the outside wall. Man, that was a close call. Somebody, couldn't tell who that was. It might have been Jay Stinson here. We take a couple more looks at this one. That's a pretty big hit, too. That'll be a fast pair for the 13, almost guaranteed. And then coming into view here in just a moment. Yeah, that is the 31 of Jay Stinson. Man, that was a hold-your-breath moment as well for the 31 as he arrived on scene. But, you know, take a look here. A couple different views from TV3. Right here, man. That's a hard hit. You see both rear tires coming off the ground. He almost did save it. Certainly got to give him credit for that. He tried, but unfortunately just could not quite do it. Let's go take a ride on board here with Jay Stinson. We talked about how close it was for him. He sees this whole thing formulating all the way back from about halfway down the front straightaway. Things just never really connect. Bam! There's a big hit. He's able to just miss it as John Lynch, that wreck, threw up a smoke screen as well. More look at this here from screenshot. Excuse me. Rear chase view. So it'll give us a pretty good picture of the damage, too, that he gets. Man, yeah, that right front's destroyed. Let's see, I know it broke the right front suspension as well. Yeah, you see it corkscrewed, or hooked to the right, if you will. So he's able to get back rolling, but heavy damage, and we'll see if he does indeed choose to use the fast repair. Yeah, looks like he sure enough has. So John Lynch, as he comes back out on track, is being scored in that ace spot. Clay Cantrell, maybe with a little strategy here. He's being scored as your leader. Kenneth Redinger second, Jay Stinson third, Matthew Fritz fourth, and Chase Greer rounding out your top five. And this looks like it's going to be a 3-lap to go. Sprint to the finish, man. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited for this. But before we get that far, see if we get a quick word here with Mr. Clay Cantrell and the run he's had here tonight. Hey, Clay, this is also from the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Well, man, you are on a stellar run here tonight. First race, you've been in the podium position just about all night, and here you are. You play a little strategy. What's the mindset right now?
Really just get them on the restart. It's definitely been top line dominant. It's just so hard to get a run on the bottom. So if we can protect the top right here, get out in front and see if we can't win this thing. There's definitely some fast guys. Ken's been fast all night. Jason's fast. So, yeah, we'll just see if we can't hold it together. We're either going to bring the steering wheel or the trophy. So.
I'll tell you what, your first start, you got to learn a lot out here, but I mean, the Gen 4 cars in general, is this car that you've had past experience in, and is there anything that you can maybe do? We've seen the top rolling, as you just said, to maybe try to hold these guys off?
Yeah, it's so I was one of the originals with Jason and Joey whenever they started this league, and I took last year off, so just getting back into it. This is actually the first lap I've turned in a Gen 6 in about a year now, so definitely a little rusty, but well, I don't know. We'll see if we can't pull this thing out.
All right, well, wish you the best of luck. Again, strong night all night, no matter what happens. We'll see if we're talking to you here in just a couple laps in victory lane.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, there you go. And Nancy Hickok says, so tires are the key here. You got that right, Nancy. And I'll tell you what, I think any of the new tires here, I think that's where we're going to see the winner, no matter what Clay does. The lap times, I mean, they speak for themselves. Numbers don't lie, and new tires run over 2 seconds faster here, but we'll have to see. Again, only 3 laps. If we get a caution from this point, that will send us into overtime, but this in itself will be a natural green-white checkered +1. Of course, if we get to that white flag, this race will be official. Here we go. Pace truck is going to pull off. 3 laps to go. Green flag back in the air at Atlanta. Great jump from Clay Cantrell. He's going to get out to a big lead. That's what he needed to do. Matthew Fritz, meanwhile, with a little bit of a stack up. There goes John Lynch, already going to take it 3 wide on the outside. Cold tires just as sketchy as if these guys were on old tires for this first lap or two. Got to keep it clean. Trouble out back. They're going to wreck. Everybody saves it. Not anymore. Stinson goes around. Parham slides as well. Now he'll tag the inside wall. Caution is out, and we will head to overtime. And I'll tell you what, you almost saw it starting to formulate right there as soon as they were getting through the middle of turn 1 and 2. A lot of aggression, but that's what you got to do. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't work out here for a couple of guys. Let's back this up. And as I said, this starts right about in the middle. They go 3 wide, and Jay Stinson on the bottom. He's got to put a lot more wheel into it. I'm telling you, new tires don't like when you have to do that. He slips up a little bit. There you go. Back end starts coming around. Kenneth Redinger, he started to actually slip up a little bit as well, but he was able to save it. And then Parham sees that. Parham's going to go to the high side here. Actually, I think Parham gets a little bit loose maybe. And then that little bit of overcorrection darts him up the track. The 15 of Richard Hurst makes some contact, so that sends Parham down the track. And then as Stinson was coming back up to save it, I think he got out of control and they make contact. Parham gets the worst of it. Not sure if it quite broke the suspension, but still a pretty good hit nonetheless. Take a couple more angles of this one. Lucky that didn't collect anyone else, because for a minute there, it certainly looked like Jay Stinson was getting ready to come right back up into the middle of the field as it looked like he just broke loose on grip. Here's the view. Watch this. There, look at the angle Stinson's at. Yeah, I think Stinson's going up and clobbering the outside wall, maybe taking out Grant Turner and Richard Hurst in the process. And actually, speaking of Grant Turner, he did get a little bit of damage there on the left front from contact with Justin Parham, but he was able to keep it straight. So everybody does continue on. Take one more look at this one from the spectator view. In fact, actually, let's go to Justin Parham. I think he was going to initially save this, but of course, nothing he could do. And yeah, there's the contact that sends him ultimately around. So that brings out your third caution here of the night. And with 3 laps to go, but it's going to be 2 to go once we grab the green. Tell you what, we are going to go ahead and take a quick break, get settled for this one. Make sure you stick around for the finish. Who's going to win it in overtime at Atlanta? Front, now we're going to see a little 4-wide action.
Crazy out of the triangle.
Oh, he gets in the lead under record.
3 by 3 entering 4.
3 do.
Blocked.
At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, coming to the close of the FLATWOODS 165 overtime style. Mind you, the rules here, real quick. We are going to get the green flag right here. These guys wreck on the first lap, rack them up and try it again. We got 3 attempts. However, if they make it around one time to the white flag, then this race will be official. Row 1, Clay Cantrell and Matthew Fritz. Can Fritz get a better jump? This time, row 2, John Lynch and Zach Stevens. Who is going to win it? Green flag is back in the air. 2 laps to go. The outside with a great jump. A lot of wheel spin on the inside for Fritz. And John Lynch is having none of it. He immediately is going to jump to the inside. 3 wide. Meanwhile, up front, Clay Cantrell trying to pull away. We got 1 losing it out back. Ryan Gomes looks like he's able to save it. The action is now back up front. And as they rocket off of turn number 2, the race is on between Stevens and Cantrell. Can Clay hold on? Can Zach get his first win in the NOMA series? Looking for it. Didn't get one in the truck series. But boy, he is in a prime seat right here. Here we go. Out of turn 4. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Stevens going to put all the pressure he can. Looking for a move to the inside. Into turn number 1. Nothing doing. Taking a peek to the outside. Cantrell's going to hold it right down on the bottom. Looks like everybody else is out of contention for first. Chase Greer maybe looking to make a move on second. Nothing to do for his teammate yet. Final gas into turn 3 to 33. He's going to dive it in. To the inside he goes. Clay Cantrell on the outside. He slides up. There's almost contact door to door. Can he get the side draft? It's a drag race to the line. Clay Cantrell wins his first race. He goes 1 for 1. Are you kidding me? Who would have guessed it? The rookie gets it in his first race. And I was saying it would have been something if he got on the podium. He does me one better. Oh my goodness, what a win and what a finish. Holy cow, he had to hold off a heck of an effort right there by Zach Stevens on this last lap. Watch this. Go back here to TV1. I mean, Stevens, I didn't think he'd have a chance at this, but he makes the move work, and he almost makes it stick. Look at this. Goes down, gets on his door. I thought he was going to slide up, maybe make some contact, but he was able to keep it alongside. No contact. Couldn't quite stay on his quarter panel. And by about a car length, that was your margin of victory for Clay Cantrell. Well, I'll tell you what, I know some people may have had questions about the series. Attendance doesn't matter. I'm telling you what we saw right there, that's something you just don't see in a lot of these series. Man, that was a heck of a finish. So as he continues to burn it down and celebrate, let's take a look at your results here for the night. Clay Cantrell, your winner. Zach Stevens brings home second. Chase Greer in third, Justin Parr in fourth, Grant Turner in fifth, John Lynch in sixth, Matthew Fritz in seventh, Kenneth Redinger in eighth with Ryan Gomes in ninth, Jay Stinson rounding out your top 10. It's going to be Bradley King in 11th, Richard Hurst in 12th, Sean Wilder in 13th, and DJ Madish rounding out the field here tonight. He finishes in that 14th position. All right, we are going to go get your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Atlanta. Back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Going to start first tonight with your third place finisher, Chase Greer for Venom Racing. Chase, this is Austin in the booth. Got a copy?
Got you. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Well, man, it seemed like a pretty calm, tame race until the end. We get a couple late cautions. All of a sudden, you find yourself in podium position, and you're able to convert and hold on to it. Tell us about your race and how you were able to finish off the podium.
I felt good early in the race. Everybody just couldn't really pass. I felt like I saved tires, and then that middle run, I did not save any tire. Fell way back, and then if it wasn't for that late caution, I think I was going to finish like 6th. So really needed that, and luckily got a good finish for the team, trying to get Zach past Clay there at the end. But it was a good race. Thanks for everybody watching.
We know Daytona was a wild card. Here at Atlanta, a little bit different. First mile and a half of the season. We're going to head to a lot of them. First time to really get a feel for the car. What'd you think about it, and what can you really carry on from here to the next mile and a half we go to?
Car gets pretty tight. It was I like the fact that it's more of a driver car. You have to save tires for the long run. That was really fun for me, other than when I screwed up. But I feel like it's going to be a good season.
Certainly looks that way so far. I'll tell you what, before we let you head out and enjoy your podium finish here tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thank everybody at Venom. Mellow Mushroom is going to be coming on board, and Manny Rays and everybody who sponsors the league. It's a great time. Thank you, everybody.
All right, and thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the third place finish. We'll see you next week.
All right, later, bud.
All right, now that'll bring us to your second place finisher here tonight. Not by much, so close for Zach Stevens. Zach, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Well, by about a car length, man, you came so close to getting your first win. You had a ton of speed tonight. First question I got is the strategy. I mean, if we saw this thing go green the whole way, you think you had it?
It would have been close. I was gonna try, but I hated that caution came out because I'm not really good on short runs. It takes a little while for me to get going, but it would have been close. I could have gotten to Fritz, but passing him would have been different. But we was really hoping it was going to come down to that. But either way, got a second place. Feel really good about that.
Well, coming down the back straightaway on the white flag, I didn't think there was any chance that you were going to make a lunge. All of a sudden, you're alongside the door of the 88. How did you make the move stick? And, I mean, was there really anything else you could have done different?
Nah, with as many laps that was left, that was the only real shot I had. I got a good run off 2, and I just dove it down into 3 and tapped the brakes a little bit to help it turn. And I just didn't have the speed off that he did on the high side to hold it for the win. But it was a good, clean racing between me and him right there at the end, so I was happy with second.
A good finish indeed. Before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just everybody at Venom Racing. It's nice to be on this team this year. I want to thank all the sponsors on the car, Crown lift trucks, and I think it's Neva Moss, CMOS. We gotta check and make sure that's the right pronunciation, but that's the two main sponsors for this year for me. So, and want to thank all the other secondary sponsors as well, and NOMA for putting up the league, and you for broadcasting. It was a lot of fun tonight.
Thank you for talking to us. Congrats on second. We'll see you next week at Pocono.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Have a good one.
You as well. Now that'll bring us to your winner here tonight, Clay Cantrell. Clay, this is Austin in booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, I was talking to you just before we went green. You maybe didn't sound too confident, but there you go. You find yourself in victory lane. First question is, how do you get into your first race of the season and go out there and win it? I mean, I haven't seen something like that, but here we go. Going down the backstretch, you get clear by a car length. He dives it in. Were you stressing, or did you know you had it going into 3?
I felt like I had it, yeah, because you lose that run on the outside, or on the inside, rather, coming out of the corner. So I was kind of trying to be a little bit, passive, because I knew it was going to be tough to make it happen. Either that or he's going to stuff me in the fence. And if it happens, it happens. I mean, it's for the win, right? But it was definitely had the heart rate up, but other than that, I thought I had it coming to the line. It was really all about the pit road execution right before that. Getting on pit road. I mean, I think I came down 3rd, maybe even 4th, and I've lost more races on pit road than I've won for sure. And that's something I've really tried to focus on, and came down 4th, came back out 1st. You've got the jump on the restart, plus you can pick lane. So I knew it was definitely going to be tough to do in a couple laps, but just glad we could get it done.
Yes, certainly did. And I mean, all the time in racing, we're talking about when guys start to get on different momentum swings and hot streaks, how much it can mean for a season. But man, when you come right out of the gates with a win, how does that give you momentum going forward? And what's the plan from here?
It's definitely a good confidence booster. I'd like to run with these guys when I can, and I like both of them, especially the admins. Jay and Joey, they do a great job. Put a lot of time and effort into this league, so just happy I can run with them when I can. Again, just appreciate what they do and look forward to getting to do this a few more times.
To wrap up a good finish, is there anyone else you would like to thank or shout out before we let you go tonight?
Not really, just the admin crews. Thank my wife for not jumping down my throat and let me do this as much as I want. That part's nice. Other than that, Blue Ridge Chrysler. That's about it. We're just happy to be here.
All right. Well, happy to have you talking to us and happy to see you get your first win. Congrats on it. And we will see you next week at Pocono.
Thanks, man.
All right. There is your winner, Clay Cantrell. That'll wrap up our coverage tonight for the Flatwoods 165. Another great week tonight at Atlanta. 2 different winners. And who knows, we could see a 3rd next week at Pocono. Make sure you're there for it. Don't miss out. Thank you all so much for coming out. And until next time, have a good night.